How is that feeling? Pops.
Pops.
Oh, let me get it together.
Pops.
Getting to witness her completely unique dynamic stardom at the college level and seeing the way it carried over to the pros. She's a supernova like we just have never seen before.
He thought they meant the WNBA. What is going on? Protect Caitlin Clark at all costs, please. Enough of this. Please.
What if I told you the WNBA is facing the biggest scandal in its history? Leaked files, lawsuits, and even whispers of the league collapsing before our eyes. This isn't gossip. This is a make-or-break moment that could decide whether women's basketball survives or burns out forever. Ryan Ruocco just ignited a firestorm in the WNBA, and not the kind the league wanted. The longtime voice of women's basketball, a commentator who has championed the sport for over a decade, is now calling for Brittney Griner's removal. His justification: he claims to have explicit photos that prove she isn't biologically female. These aren't quiet whispers in some dark corner of the internet. Oren insists he has proof. And because of his reputation, that accusation lands with the weight of a wrecking ball. For years, Ruocco was the league's most loyal defender. He was the voice who stood tall when critics mocked women's basketball and the one who promised fans that the WNBA was just beginning its rise. So if he's the one now demanding Griner be pushed out, this isn't just gossip, it feels like an existential threat to the league's credibility. Ryan clearly believes that protecting the WNBA reputation means sacrificing one of its biggest stars, but he isn't the only one stirring the pot. Angel Reese's loyal fan base has jumped into the fray, amplifying the controversy. They're furious at what they call hypocrisy, minding everyone that the league had no problem defending Griner in the past. But now, with Caitlin Clark breaking records and attracting sponsors, suddenly the WNBA wants to clean house. That timing isn't sitting well, and Reese's supporters are making sure their outrage is heard. Some are even threatening boycotts, accusing the league of using scandal as a marketing tool while pretending it's about integrity. The louder the backlash grows, the clearer the message becomes. Fans aren't buying the narrative. They're ready to hit the WNBA where it hurts most, hits pocketbook. And the irony here is sharp. Ryan once built his reputation on celebrating players like Reese and Griner as the perfect faces of the league, outspoken, passionate, and marketable. He stuck by the WNBA when it struggled with empty arenas, weak sponsorships, and a lack of mainstream respect. That's why his sudden attack feels less like criticism and more like betrayal. For many fans, this is no longer about one player. It's about the soul of the league. And all of this is happening just as the WNBA finally seems to be turning a corner. With Caitlin Clark pulling historic viewership and sponsorships, the league is experiencing the moment Ryan had spent his career waiting for, proof that women's basketball could become a cultural powerhouse. Yet, instead of celebration, the spotlight is now fixed on a scandal threatening to undo that progress. The rumors about Griner's gender have floated in the background for years, largely ignored. But in the new era of mainstream attention, whispers turn into headlines and headlines turn into weapons. Insiders even suggest that Ryan himself may have pushed those leaks into the spotlight, forcing the league's hand regardless of the fallout. If true, that would mean Ruocco deliberately set fire to his own career in order to preserve what he saw as the WNBA's integrity. The controversy hit its peak when an Instagram video surfaced showing Griner with her chest exposed, yet the platform's filters didn't classify it as nudity. To fans already suspicious, that was the ultimate receipt. Proof that tech companies and the league itself were shielding her from scrutiny. From that moment, it became open season on Brittney Griner. Every old rumor, every offhand comment, every supposed slip of the tongue was dragged back into the spotlight. Things escalated further when clips of Griner referring to herself as Pops went viral, with many interpreting it as a quiet admission of what they'd long speculated. Then, another bombshell, a leaked recording where she allegedly made a racial slur directed at Caitlin Clark, the very star now carrying the league to unprecedented popularity. At that point, the WNBA wasn't facing rumors anymore. It was engulfed in a full-blown scandal, with Brittney Griner standing squarely at the center.
1979, when those two rookies came in from a big college rivalry, one white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want.
Just when the scandal seemed like it couldn't escalate any further, Ryan Ruocco dropped the hammer. He released the photos and files he'd been hinting at hand overnight. The controversy exploded from damaging to catastrophic. By the next morning, the WNBA's leadership had called an emergency meeting. Not just about Brittney Griner, but about the league's survival itself. For the first time in its history, the WNBA is generating real momentum. Packed arenas, soaring TV ratings, and sponsors lining up. But one wrong decision now threatens to collapse the whole structure in an instant. Ruocco even pointed to Chicago as proof of what's at stake. A franchise that once played in half-empty gyms had, in just a few seasons, transformed into a playoff draw with finals-level intensity. That hard-earned progress, he argued, could all evaporate because of one player, one scandal, and one commentator refusing to stay quiet. The panic isn't confined to the WNBA's offices either. NBA executives, the same power brokers pouring money and marketing muscle into the women's league, have reportedly put Commissioner Cathy Engelbert on the clock. According to insiders, they've made it clear, if she doesn't handle this quickly, their support could disappear altogether. No softened language. No PR spin. For them, this isn't personal, it's business. And protecting Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise is now priority number one. Ryan has been vocal about Clark's significance, calling her a supernova, the star who has dragged the WNBA into a new orbit. The data backs him up. Ticket sales are spiking, arenas are buzzing, and TV networks are competing for broadcast rights. To executives, Clark is the golden ticket. And Griner's scandal is a live grenade that could blow up the momentum before it fully takes hold. But the drama is still climbing toward its peak. Griner's camp wasted no time fighting back. Within hours of Ryan's explosive post, her lawyers were firing off legal threats, framing the leak as a coordinated smear campaign, and warning that lawsuits would rain down on anyone reckless enough to repost the images. Yet, the damage was already irreversible. The photos had been seen, circulated, and dissected across social media, with Griner's name stamped across every headline. That's when Adam Silver's name entered the conversation, escalation that immediately raised the stakes. Silver isn't the WNBA's commissioner, but everyone knows how seriously he takes scandals. His involvement signals that this isn't just a women's basketball controversy anymore. It's a crisis touching the entire NBA-WNBA partnership. For Ryan, the tragedy cuts deep. He's always described the league as a family, a collective of players, coaches, and broadcasters pushing together for respect. But if that family image ever held true, this scandal just ripped it apart.
Natasha Cloud and Izzy Harrison of the New York Liberty were issued a fine warning from the league for wearing hats. It's kind of a crazy rule that isn't publicly accessible, and we opened up a can of worms I don't think we knew existed.
Yeah, I mean, we're in this period in the W where there's a lot of serious things happening, right? Like, we're having conversations about refereeing, we're having conversations about pay equity and revenue share and collective bargaining, and yet the WNBA is taking time out of its day to find, or at least warn people.
Back in 2014, Adam Silver showed the sports world exactly how he handles scandal. When Clippers owner Donald Sterling was caught making racist remarks, Silver didn't flinch. He banned him from the NBA for life, handed down a $2.5 million fine, and forced a sale of the franchise. That moment cemented Silver's reputation. When the league's image is threatened, he doesn't hesitate, which is why Brittney Griner's controversy just shifted from troubling to dangerous. If the rumors are true that Griner used a slur against Caitlin Clark, even off camera or out of context, there's no chance she escapes untouched once Silver's involved. His entire identity as commissioner is tied to protecting basketball's reputation, and if he decides Griner jeopardizes the WNBA at the height of its visibility, he'll act swiftly and decisively. That leaves Commissioner Cathy Engelbert in a precarious position. Her leadership has already been criticized as weak and reactive. Fans still remember how she mishandled the Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark fallout, brushing aside racist fan remarks with a clumsy comparison to the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird rivalry. Players were livid. Critics labeled her out of touch. And now, with Adam Silver's name hovering over this storm, Engelbert no longer controls the narrative. Behind the scenes, pressure is mounting from all directions. Caitlin Clark's own camp is reportedly urging the league to enforce stricter policies, including gender verification rules, warning that every Griner headline threatens Clark's rookie season and the millions in sponsorships tied to her name. With Clark viewed as the future of the league, her representatives are making it clear, this isn't just noise, it's a business threat. Online, speculation is rampant about how deep those conversations between Clark's camp and league executives are really going. Meanwhile, Ryan Ruocco has ensured the scandal can't simply be buried by releasing files and pushing the issue into the spotlight. He's tied the controversy directly to money, sponsors, and public trust. That leaves Adam Silver under enormous pressure to intervene, because if he doesn't, the damage could spread beyond the WNBA and stain the NBA's brand as well. And insiders warn the chaos hasn't peaked. Sponsors are already jittery. Some who signed deals on the strength of Caitlin Clark's breakout success are threatening to pull support if the league doesn't get control quickly. Yes, ticket sales are hot. But brands don't want their logos sitting beside headlines about gender scandals and racial slurs. They bought into a growth story, not a credibility crisis. Even Ryan himself is now facing fallout. ESPN has quietly pulled him from upcoming NBA and WNBA broadcasts while they investigate. The move was meant to protect the network's image, but online, fans are divided. Some call him a truth teller, punished for saying what others are afraid to. Others argue he went too far. Either way, the suspension hasn't quieted the controversy, it's amplified it. And as if that weren't enough, the storm is pulling more players into its orbit. Social media chatter has begun targeting other names, with fans speculating that the league has quietly shielded certain athletes for years. Natasha Howard is being singled out for her deep voice and muscular build. Isabel Harrison's name is trending after claims she was linked to a private clinic offering hormone therapy. Old photos of Mercedes Russell have resurfaced, fueling speculation about dramatic physical changes over a few seasons. What started as a scandal centered on Brittney Griner is now ballooning into a league-wide credibility crisis. And the most dangerous question is still unanswered. How many more names are about to be dragged into the fire?
A project it is to work on from a broadcasting standpoint.
Yeah.
And I was naive to how wonderful the league is and how incredible the basketball is. When I was first asked about it, and I've been honest about this, I kind of was like, okay, that's cool, but I'm already doing NBA. Like, why is this such a great gig for me?
Right.
And there were people inside ESPN, I'll give credit to Lori Orlando and Tim McCarthy, who were really like, trust us. You're going to love this. You're going to love working with Rebecca Lobo, and this league is awesome to work on. And they were 100% right. And it did not take me long to appreciate how awesome the basketball was, how incredible it is to work with Rebecca and Holly, which it's just...
Fans aren't letting this fade. They're combing through old photos, clips, and social posts tied to Natasha Howard, Isabel Harrison, and Mercedes Russell, convinced the league has been protecting certain players for years. What began as speculation around Brittney Griner has morphed into a full-blown witch hunt. Social feeds are overflowing with evidence threads, and fans are demanding answers the WNBA simply isn't prepared to give. And now, the pressure isn't just on the players, it's creeping to the very top. Behind closed doors, whispers suggest Kathy Engelbert's job may be hanging by a thread. Reports claim NBA leadership has quietly floated the idea of replacing her with someone more decisive. Someone they can control if she can't stop the free fall. Nothing is official, but the fact that Engelbert's name is trending alongside players tells the story. Patience is running out, and the wolves are circling. At this point, the WNBA can't sweep anything under the rug. With Ryan Ruocco dropping receipts, sponsors rattled, and more players being pulled into the scandal. This is no longer a single controversy, it's the league's entire credibility on trial. Then came the most dangerous twist yet. A supposed memo from the WNBA's own legal team leaked online, claiming the league might be forced to implement mandatory gender testing for every player next season to reassure sponsors and protect competitive integrity. The document remains unverified, but the second it hit social media, the reaction was explosive. Some fans argue gender testing is the only way to safeguard the league's image and prevent another Ruocco-style bombshell. But the backlash is massive. Critics warn such a policy would humiliate players, derail the sport's progress, and turn the WNBA into a sideshow. Instead of celebrating the game, athletes would be dragged through invasive scrutiny, undoing the very cultural gains that made the league appealing in the first place. Insiders are even whispering that the season itself could be delayed or cut short entirely if the chaos continues. If players refuse testing, or if more names get exposed, the league may not survive the fallout. This isn't just about Griner anymore. It's about whether the WNBA can survive at all. Years of slow, hard-earned growth now hang in the balance. Meanwhile, Ryan Ruocco isn't backing down. Far from it. In fact, he's doubling down, insisting that the league's momentum is far too important to let rot under scandal. His message is blunt. The WNBA finally has the world's attention. Finally has the sponsorship dollars flowing. And finally has packed arenas to prove women's basketball can be a powerhouse. And now, in his eyes, all of it is at risk because of one controversy. The league refuses to confront Head and Griner's camp, meanwhile, is still threatening lawsuits. Every repost of the leaked files, every comment thread, every whisper online, her lawyers are treating all of it like ammunition for a smear campaign. They've already sent cease and desist notices and have made it clear they're willing to drag this into the courtroom. But legal threats can only do so much when the images and clips have already gone viral. When fans are already dissecting every frame and spinning their own theories in real time. Once the internet sinks its teeth into a story, no lawyer can fully stop the bleeding. And then there's Kathy Engelbert. She's under siege. Players, fans, and critics are slamming her leadership from every angle. The narrative is brutal. She let this spiral. She let Ryan set the agenda. She failed to calm the storm before it swallowed the league. For years, her leadership style has been called reactive instead of proactive. Now that weakness is glaring. Every headline about Griner, every trending hashtag about gender testing, every sponsor whispering about pulling their money, it all piles directly at Engelbert's feet. But the spotlight is shifting to someone far more powerful. Adam Silver. The man who doesn't play games when the NBA's image is on the line. Insiders claim Silver is preparing to step in personally, and if history is any indicator, he won't hesitate to make an example out of whoever threatens basketball's credibility. Everyone remembers how he handled Donald Sterling in 2014. Swift, decisive, merciless. Silver made it clear that racism wouldn't be tolerated in the NBA. That single decision reshaped his reputation as a commissioner and set the tone for how he protects the sport's integrity. That's why this situation feels so dangerous. If Silver believes Brittney Griner, or anyone else caught in the storm, is putting the WNBA's hard-won momentum at risk, he'll move fast and he'll move hard. He isn't sentimental. He isn't political. He is pragmatic, and his track record proves that when the brand of basketball itself is in danger, he'll sacrifice individuals to protect the institution. But here's the kicker. Ruocco may not even be finished. The files he's already released have ripped the league into crisis mode. But word is, he's holding even more this time, allegedly implicating at least two current WNBA. If those leaks surface, the scandal won't just revolve around Brittney Griner. It could blow the lid off the league's darkest secrets, dragging household names into the chaos, and pushing the WNBA past the point of repair. Think about what that means. The league has spent decades clawing for credibility, for visibility, for legitimacy in the crowded American sports landscape. And just as it's finally tasting real success, record TV deals, sold-out crowds, sponsorships, pouring, incidentally it's at risk of losing everything. Sponsors don't want their logos next to headlines about gender testing, leaked files, and accusations of cover-ups. Networks don't want their broadcasts overshadowed by questions about whether the league even knows how to police itself. And fans, they're already polarized, split between those who see Ruocco as a whistleblower, and those who see him as a saboteur. The danger here isn't just one scandal, it's the spiral effect. Every time another name is pulled into the firestorm, trust erodes further. Natasha Howard, Isabel Harrison, Mercedes Russell. Each new rumor multiplies the perception that the WNBA has been hiding something, whether true or not. Once that perception sets in, it doesn't matter what the facts are, the damage is psychological. Sponsors second guess. Fans walk away. Players themselves begin to question whether the league truly has their backs. And the whispers inside the league office are even darker. Some insiders say the nuclear option is already on the table. Mandatory gender testing for all players before next season. The very idea is controversial enough to tear the WNBA apart. Supporters argue it's the only way to protect competitive integrity and reassure sponsors. Critics warn it would humiliate athletes, strip away privacy, and transform the WNBA into a circus act. Players would no longer be celebrated for their talent, but reduced to invasive scrutiny about their bodies. The backlash, if such a policy were enforced, could make today's chaos look tame. That's why this moment feels like a crossroads. If Engelbert fumbles again, if Silver doesn't step in, if Ruocco drops another bombshell, the season itself could be jeopardized. Insiders are already murmuring about possible delays, shortened schedules, even the unthinkable cancellation. It sounds extreme until you consider the stakes. A full-scale player revolt, sponsors walking out, broadcasters pulling contracts. Any of those dominoes could collapse the fragile momentum the league has finally built. And here's the irony. Ruocco has always insisted he loves the WNBA, that he's spent years defending it, pushing for it, believing in it. Yet his crusade, however he justifies it, may end up destroying the very thing he claims to protect, by forcing the league's darkest allegations into the spotlight. He's gambling that the truth will somehow strengthen the WNBA long term. But in the short term, the league is bleeding. The story is no longer just about Brittney Griner. It's about the soul of women's basketball. It's about whether the WNBA can prove it's resilient enough to survive a scandal of this magnitude. Because make no mistake, this isn't gossip anymore. This is history, unfolding in real time. Imagine the headlines if Ruocco's alleged files on other All-Stars actually drop. Imagine the fallout if fans see their favorite players, their role models, tied up in controversy that suggests the league has been deceiving them for years. Imagine the sponsors Nike, ESPN, AT&T sprinting for the exits, unwilling to have their brands dragged through mud. Imagine the NBA itself pulling back, deciding the investment isn't worth the risk. The WNBA has never been closer to the mainstream spotlight, but it's never been closer to disaster either. That's the paradox. Success has magnified the stakes. Every mistake now has consequences 100 times larger than before, and so, all eyes are on Adam Silver. Will he step in, wielding the same hammer he used on Sterling, to protect the WNBA's credibility? Or will he let Engelbert flounder, hoping she can hold the line a little longer? Either way, his next move could decide everything. Because the question is no longer whether the WNBA can calm the storm. The question is whether women's basketball as we know it can survive it. If Ruocco unleashes the rest of his files, if the whispers about gender testing prove true, if sponsors walk, if players rebel, this isn't just about one season. It could be the biggest collapse in the history of women's sports. And that's why, no matter what you think of him, Ryan Ruocco is now the most dangerous man in the league. He has the files, he has the platform, and he has nothing left to lose.